Hey, scrapbook friends, it's Nicole from Nicole's Scrapbooks, and welcome to another album flip through. This one is much anticipated by many of you, I know, because we have been working on this album together for the last year and a half plus 86 weeks. Theme Park Thursday. This is my Disney World trip that I took with my daughters in March of 2022. A lot of people asked me if I would do an album flip through when the albums were done. And yes, here it is. However, because I have talked a lot about each one of these layouts as I have done them over the past 86 weeks, I'm going to talk a little bit less, maybe. I don't know if I can talk less about albums, but I'm trying to do all three of these albums in one. So yes, it is an album, but it's a 3-volume album. Disney Girls 2022, volumes 1, 2, and 3. All right, so we'll start with volume 1. So this was a trip that we took. Michelle, my younger daughter, was a senior at Auburn. This was her very last spring break ever. And so she and Katie, my older daughter, and I together took this Disney Girls trip. So one thing interesting, I talked about this way early on, maybe episode 0, episode 1. I had weight loss surgery in December of 2021. And so this was like my first time to go back to Disney World since my surgery. It was a little bit scary because one of the things I love the most about Disney is eating. And I wondered how I'd be able to do with that, having made such drastic changes in my life. And it worked okay. It was really actually nice to have my daughters there to share food with me and to make give me reasons to be able to still eat all the yummy food. And I actually, at this point, I had lost about 35 pounds or something like that. I since then have lost almost 100 more than that. So I did end up losing about 125 pounds total. I've gained some of it back, but it's always a constant battle. So I'm not ashamed to talk about that. I think it was a great decision I made for my health. I had felt so bad physically on the Disney trip prior to this one, just in pain all the time. And so this was great to be there for that. So here we go. We started with the Magic Kingdom. We do get park hoppers, and so theoretically we could go to more than one park a day, but there's so much to do in every park. We never can bear to leave one park and go to another. So that'll change if and when we ever get to Theme Park Thursday, when I do the year that Michelle worked in the Disney College program, and I went to visit her many times. But so Katie flew down from Utah, where she was living, and Michelle, of course, went to Auburn. We drove down. So here we always like to stop at the Florida Welcome Center, get our free orange juice, grapefruit juice. This paper pack is called Fruity Delights, and this was one that was an advisor exclusive pack. It might still be an advisor exclusive pack. They bought it or ordered it when sales were way up during COVID, and I think they overestimated how many people were going to want this citrusy themed paper pack. But I think it worked really well for Florida. I love that it had the little banners and the stickers, and it worked great with the photos that I had. It was also the 50th anniversary of Walt Disney World, and I believe this was the first time we visited Disney after the 50th celebration started. So these are 2 separate layouts. One of the things I like to do when I'm putting together a book is if you're looking at one layout that is the same event, that you can tell by looking that these are separate events. And I hope that you can see that. I did use the same paper for both of these to kind of tie them together, but this is while Katie was flying in, we were tracking her, and we went and stopped by Disney Springs. And then we waited for Katie to fly in. I actually didn't mention anything about her arriving. So this was the next day, the next morning. I probably need to add that, that we picked her up, because I don't even know if I said we stayed off property close to Disney Springs. So it was a quick drive to the Transportation Ticket Center and our adventures in the parks. Masking is no longer required at Disney, but we chose to mask up whenever we were going to be in a closed space with lots of people just to be safe. The next Theme Park Thursday series I'm going to be starting is a trip we took to California, Disneyland, later that year. And my husband did, in fact, get COVID, and he blames it on standing in a big crowd at one of the fireworks shows. One of the paper packs that I loved for this collection was Birthday Bonanza. I love the pinks and the purples, and it just worked really well. Even though we didn't wear, our pink shirts here, should have saved these for another day, but I love the Birthday Bonanza papers for this. One of the things I found myself doing a lot in this album series was putting frames around my layouts. That's not necessarily a thing that I have done a lot of in the past, but for whatever reason right now it's a thing I'm doing. So you'll probably see a lot of these frames and a lot of kind of collage type pictures. This is one where I butted the pictures up against each other, and then I didn't like it, so I came back and I put like little strips to divide up between the layouts, just the photos, just to make them not blend together so much. This is a good example of that. I'd followed a sketch online that I found on Pinterest that they just had you kind of butt all the pictures up together, and then I hated it. And so I did my Theme Park Thursday video, and I said, well, I guess it's done, and I hated it. And I just thought, I can't live with this. And as I thought about it, I thought what I needed was some division. So I came back the next day and put, these are just little, like 1/16 of an inch, tiny little strips of paper, which I think completely changed the whole look of the layout. Another thing that is really difficult for me is to not put a title on a page. This one was Mickey's Celebration Cavalcade, and I tried to use this picture with the words as a title. Now looking back at it again, I'm not sure how I feel about that. I'm looking for a title. My eye is looking for a title. It's going to Hip Hip Hooray, which kind of works as a title as well. But these little birthday poof things, I don't know what they're called. I've never used them for a birthday page, but they worked really well for this Mickey's Celebration Cavalcade. Love circles. I don't do a lot of layouts with one single photo, but at Disney sometimes we have that. Katie worked at the Emporium when she was in the college program in 2008. So we took this picture of her, printed 5x7, and this is probably from inspired by a YouTube video. I love to use paper packs that are not Disney themed, or, Creative Memories did not have any current licensing with Disney. So, but they do usually have a theme park collection. But when I started this album series, one of my goals was to show that you can scrapbook Disney without having to have Disney paper. And in fact, this is the Disney paper. Sorry, it is not specific to any brand of theme park. No licensing allowed, or right now with CM. So you'll notice that like this was Sweet Summer. This was our summer collection. Fruity Delights. This was one of the older theme park collections, but Birthday and Birthday. And so, hopefully you will be able to look at the papers that you already have, especially if you're going to Disney World or Disneyland. A lot of Disney World is not in these Disney colors, the red, the yellow, black, so many things. So Hall of Presidents, this was in 2022. So it wasn't a year that they had changed presidents, but, I said there are always one or two people who cheer or boo various presidents, usually the recent ones. Katie and Michelle decided to be unique and quietly booed older ones. Sorry, Rutherford B. Hayes and William Henry Harrison. So that was a funny memory that we had. Said masks are not required, but it was very people-y in there. So this is a layout that I really like because I was able to basically put 3 separate photos. Like I didn't feel like they each needed their own layout, but they each had a story. And so my Theme Park Thursday for this was called 3-in-1 Layout, where I had, I have the story about my friend Kathy, the story about the popcorn bucket, and the story about a payphone of all things. Poor Michelle has not really seen payphones. And you know what? You never find a dime in the coin return anymore like you used to. That was always a fun thing. So the Princess Cavalcade, I used the Enchanted Princess paper, and that was really fun to have that. Not necessarily theme park themed. I mean, I think people probably were able to use that for, other little girl pages, but it worked really well for princesses. This one is completely scrap lifted from a layout that I had seen on Pinterest. I was able to copy it and put the pictures of like just the frozen treats. I love how it turned out. And then it was the 50th anniversary of Disney. And so this page is one of the rare pages where I don't have any journaling, because all of it comes on the next page, which is about these golden statues. And I wrote about how in celebration of the 50th anniversary, Disney had put these statues all around. And there were so many statues at the Magic Kingdom. Not necessarily that we took all the pictures the same day, but I did put peekaboo pockets, 6x12 peekaboo pockets on either page. Now, once I'm done filming this album flip through, I'm going to put the page protectors and stuff on. I didn't put them on for now to keep you can see the glare that comes when you got the protectors on, but I'll be able to put the page protectors on, and then these will flip over the page protector. So I do use the regular Creative Memories Jeeped pages, the reinforced where the page is attached to the album, and then you slide the page protector over the top. But these have the peekaboo pockets on both sides of this one. This is one that I'm not sure I love. It's super busy, but if there is any place that you can do a busy layout for, it is Disney World. And this is, of course, one of the lines from the Tiki Room. And I've said that it gets a surprising amount of hate, but we think it's fun. And the technology to run so many audio animatronics is still impressive after 50 years. So this was a fun one, probably also inspired by something I saw on Pinterest. And I did kind of end up using some of these circle and rectangle layouts. And in fact, the next layout, as I've been flipping through this, realize I don't love that this one has the circle and the rectangle, and then the next one also has a circle. And apparently I've lost a letter Y. It's fallen off. So I'm gonna have to find a little letter Y, because it's supposed to say ahoy mateys. So I'm gonna fix that before I put my page protectors on. Pirates of the Caribbean, a favorite ride. This is another layout that I saw on Pinterest and I was able to adapt, and I love the way that it turned out. This was, I don't even know what paper pack this was anymore. You'll have to watch the video, but I used the little rope border maker cartridge and I designed this circle. I think I used the circle cutter to make it the little ship's wheel, and I love the way it turned out. This is another one that I saw, I think on Pinterest. I'd seen like there are those templates you can buy that help you make, put pictures into a shape, and I was able to create this myself. It's not exactly perfect, but I love the way it turned out. I used the dime punch, and it's funny on this one, we always call this Pecos Bills, but when I looked it up to find out it's called Pecos Bill, it's still driving me nuts. I feel like it should be possessive, Pecos Bills, but it's just called Pecos Bill. And then just a thing about the pins. I love this paper. This was called A Year to Remember, and I think it's from like 2017. So I'm always glad when I use up old paper. I think this was Daily Docket, which is also kind of from that time frame. So I was really trying to use up a lot of my older paper packs. I love nothing more than to finish using every single piece of an old collection, because then that makes room for new collections. We had a rainy night. One of the things that I did on this layout is, this album, is I used mostly sticker letters for my titles. In the past, I've done a lot of silhouette or Cricut letters, and that is really time consuming to me. I mean, if I would do it with each layout as I went, maybe it wouldn't be so bad, but to have to pull out my computer and cut it. I've tried using the phone. I have all the cutters. I have the Cricut Joy. I have a regular Cricut. I have a Cricut Maker. I have a silhouette. I have a Brother Scan and Cut, and it's just so much faster to do sticker letters. So I did a lot of sticker letters in here, but I was able to use this fun umbrella punch, and love how most of these layouts turned out. I mean, it's looking back now after a year after I created them, they still make me happy. This one too, I got to use my beloved Mermaid Cove, my favorite Creative Memories paper pack, probably of all time. Worked great for this Ariel's Undersea Adventure. And then this is one of the layouts where Creative Memories does not have sticker letters in the color that I needed. And so a lot of these, I used the white sticker letters and colored them with a marker. one of our Creative Memories pens, and I was able to get all the exact colors I wanted for all of my layouts. So I love it when I can fit a lot of pictures on a page. There's not really much of us. This is Katie and Michelle, a couple of these, but mostly it's pictures of the ride. Someday I hope to be able to go on a Disney ride and not feel compelled to take pictures, but this trip was not that day. This is another one that I was inspired by something that I saw on Pinterest. And if you watch the Theme Park Thursday videos, they are process videos. And so I do kind of take you through the whole process of, these are the pictures I have. No ideas. Let's scroll through Pinterest. Oh, here's the idea, the layout that I like. Let's try and recreate it. And this is one that was on Pinterest, but I think it, mine looks nothing like the inspiration layout, but I think it turned out very nice and gives the feeling that I wanted for this very rainy fireworks show. One of the other things I love to use in my Disney albums is the shimmer paper. Creative Memories has so many great colors of shimmer paper, and it just lends itself really well to Disney Disney photos. So Haunted Mansion, I was able to use some Halloween paper. I love this paper from, I think it was from Happy Hauntings, and I love that I was able to keep the kind of the moon in the design. Sometimes there's a element on a scrapbook, printed scrapbook paper, but you don't want to use it because you don't want to cover it up. But I was able to keep the moon. This is one of the first layouts where, excuse me, where I kind of went nuts, and I discovered that for me, like a simple less is more kind of page can look really great, but sometimes more is more, and I just kind of went nuts with this one. But again, it's Disney. If there's ever a time you can do more is more, it would be on a Disney trip. And I love how it turned out, and it's my book, so I can do what I want. However, this one, I'm still not sure about this one. I was trying a new technique, and I used the Out of This World paper, which is great for Buzz Lightyear, and it's just a little bit much. This one was a bit much in what I feel like as a pleasing way. I like this one. This one is a bit much, and I'm just not sure. I'm still not sure about it. I feel like the yellow and all the paper detracts from the photos as opposed to enhancing the photos. But I made a rule when I started scrapbooking, clear back in the 80s. And my rule is that I can't go back and redo a layout until I am caught up. So I'm not caught up. So this is going to stay like this. Maybe it will be one that I look back on and roll my eyes, but it tells a story, and it certainly fits the theme of Buzz Lightyear Space Ranger Spin. On the other hand, this one I really like, although as I was making this layout, I cropped my photos and then changed my mind about what I was going to do. So I did have to patch a photo in, and I promised I was going to learn my lesson about not cropping my photos until I was sure what I was going to do with the layout. And then I broke that rule many times over the course of our Theme Park Thursday. But I love that I was able to use these little astronauts from Out of This World and the cat. And then this one, this is again Sweet Summer, which is a summer theme collection, but it matched, the colors just matched so nicely with Disney. I'm very pleased with how this turned out, and probably an idea from Pinterest, because I just feel like this is something that I didn't come up with. This one I love because I wish that I could put video in my scrapbooks. We had so much fun with this. I screenshot some pictures, some headlines. This is Newsweek, comicbook.com, about the massive flooding that they had that day at Disney World. And then I was able to take this water paper, which I think was from Sweet Summer, and I cut it along the water lines and did a little bit of pen work and used my umbrellas, and even though we didn't have umbrellas, and I love how it turned out. It makes me happy. This layout, this concept, never too old to play in the rain, it just makes me really happy. And the motion of the waves, and oh my goodness, I wish you could have seen those girls playing in the water for being all grown up, graduated, and a senior in college. They sure had fun. This is a technique I love with the chevron. I actually think, now that I'm looking at this again, that I use the same chevron technique for another layout a couple volumes back. But again, tried to keep this one's pretty simple for me, except of course I did make kind of my faux Spaceship Earth here, which I love. And we, of course, my daughters are so good. We wear matching shirts every day, and it just makes going to Disney so fun. I love that they feed into my geekiness about going to Disney World, and love all these fun PhotoPass pictures. I think this one was from a Creative Memories virtual crop sketch, but I love how this blue kind of goes in together with this blue, and that there's already a different feeling from what we had at Magic Kingdom, like the Epcot. I tried to go a little simpler with my Epcot layouts as opposed to the kind of over-the-top crazy busy with Magic Kingdom. I didn't succeed very well, but I tried. Was super excited to be able to use this hot air balloon, and a few single page layouts. You'll see I mostly do double page, but with Disney, sometimes we just don't have that many pictures. Like, you don't take pictures in Soarin'. It's not the kind of ride you can take pictures in. Ratatouille, same thing. I didn't take pictures in the ride. This time on a future trip I did. One of the things I like about this is that we had a story. I actually didn't ride this, but my girls saw a famous celebrity, well, not famous, but somebody that they recognized in line, and they told me about him. And then I got totally mixed up about which celebrity they were talking about. And so I was looking for somebody else. So I have this extended journaling in a little journal box. So if you watch the Theme Park Thursday video for this, I talk about how I put together that little pull-out journal box. This is a double page. I think it was somebody else's idea. I don't know if it was a Pinterest or a virtual crop. I don't use a lot of flowers. I'm not a flower person. But we were there for Flower and Garden Festival, and so it was a good opportunity for me to use some flowers, which are just not, I'm just not a flowery kind of girl. And then more flowers here with the topiaries for the Flower and Garden. And then this, Epcot had some of the golden statues, so I didn't actually do a Theme Park Thursday edition or episode about this layout, because it's exactly like the one we did with the golden statues that had the fold out pages. I just changed the colors up a little bit. And this is another one where I needed gold letters. We didn't have gold letters, so I took the white letters and colored them with a metallic gold pen. This is one that I kind of had to play around with a little bit. Another one that I'm not sure that I love 100%, but I had fun kind of with the technique using the music notes and the fireworks punch and the wavy trimmer. Wavy trimmer was retired while I was in the process of making these albums, and I'm sad, but I still have one. Actually, I have two. I have an old blue one, and I have a white one, so I should be set for a while. Yeah, another one that I love how it turned out. One of the things I do a lot, and I talk about in these Theme Park Thursday weeks, is how I take a pen sometimes, often, and will trace around my sticker letters if I feel like they're getting lost in the background. If you trace around them with a pen, it can give you a great look. This was a paper pack called Sparkle and Shine. I didn't have a lot of it left, but I was able to kind of make it work, and to work with the pretty colors, the purples and stuff in the page. And Michelle's little sweatshirt, I think that made me happy. So good night, Epcot. And then Michelle had her fairy wings. We had bought the fairy wings. I don't think we had them. Oh, we didn't have them at the Magic Kingdom because it was too rainy. I think she was wearing them, but we didn't, we didn't get the pictures with them because it was too rainy. And I need to journal about. I thought that we had purchased these on a previous Disney trip, but going back and rereading some of my notes, we purchased them actually on this trip just for her to wear, and they were so much fun. All right, so that's volume 1, and really, truly, this album is not that thick. I probably could have fit this trip into 2 albums instead of 3. I do see where I've used some, this isn't foam squares. This is those fold out pages, and somewhere in here, foam squares maybe. Oh, right here. But just the way that the albums, that the layouts broke down, I didn't have a good place to divide it to be half and half. So these are fewer pages than I usually put in a book. I usually try to put 36, maybe 34 to 36. But I just had to split these where there was a natural split. And for this one, it was the end of day 2 at Epcot. So on to volume 2, which is days 3 and 4. We had 5 days in the parks, and this is days 3 and 4. And we started with the Animal Kingdom. And usually I like to do a title page that doesn't necessarily have pictures. But when I was putting this together, I wasn't sure where I was going to split. I probably could have split this book. I mean, I maybe could still split it. Now I couldn't. Just the way at some point I figured out that this was going to have to be 3 volumes. Because if I had made the other one a little bit thicker, this could have been the facing page of the Fairy Wings. But this is the next day, Animal Kingdom. I tried to kind of go along the same style as the original title page. If you look at that one, it kind of has a similar breakdown, because that's just one of the things I do. I like to have the title pages of an album series be reminiscent of each other. But this one, of course, has completely different papers and a completely different feeling, because that one was Magic Kingdom with Sweet Summer, and this is Animal Kingdom with I don't think this was Tropic Time. Summertime? I can't remember. I used to be really good at knowing all the names of all the paper packs, but my brain is a blur. This is one that I did with the Circle Cutter, which I love, and Vitamin C. Probably this was inspired by something I'd seen on Pinterest. A lot of my layouts are, sometimes when I'm stuck, I love to go look at other people's layouts for inspiration. But I love how this one turned out. I love the circles. I love the motion and stuff that it gave. Here's another one where I did a border. I think this one I talked about how to do a mitered corner, and then I covered up all the mitered corners so it didn't matter. But here with our masks, and apparently as I'm flipping through this, the previous book, it was 1 layout a week. So this was months later. And again, I say Disney doesn't require masks anymore. I said that a few times, but we did wear masks because we didn't want to be around people's germs. So Festival of the Lion King, this was nice to be able to use up some of these laser borders that I hadn't used from, I think this was also from Summertime. Somebody just asked me about this layout that I used with one of the recipe templates. When the recipe templates first came out, I loved the recipe templates, but there are so many now and they do take a lot of time. But this one worked out really well for these pictures, and I love, it's the same paper that we used for the same title page. So I was kind of trying to use a lot of this, to use this Summertime paper, so that I could clear out that folder and make room for more. And then again, the Animal Kingdom statues, that same basic layout that we did for Magic Kingdom and Epcot, just in different colors. This was absolutely an idea, a layout sketch that I got from somewhere else. I don't think it was a Creative Memories layout sketch, but I love how many pictures I was able to get on this particular layout. I was able to use the On the Farm paper, which I'm a city girl. I don't go to farms. I don't have any opportunities to use it, but I love the On the Farm paper. I even use the cow paper, and I just love how this one turned out. So we love the affection section out here at Rafiki's. Here's another one where I didn't put a title because I was hoping that the words in the photo would act as a title. But as I look at this now, it's a struggle for me. Even though it says Animation Experience a couple of times, I still struggle a little bit with the fact that it doesn't have like a title, but just pretend that's the title. This was, I think, still Tropic Time, which is great paper to use for Disney's Animal Kingdom. Like I say, it's we often have a theme park collection, but the colors in those collection I feel are very specific to Mickey Mouse. They're not necessarily the things that you see and do at Disney World. And so my goal with this album series was to show that there's so many paper packs, mostly Creative Memories, which is what I use, what I sell. And so just to show, they don't need to come up with 200 packs. You don't have to have a special Animal Kingdom pack because we have all these other packs that go along with it. The Safari one, I love being able to fit lots and lots of pictures on a page. I didn't count how many this is. Sometimes in the videos I'll tell how many there are, but all of these, it's just been fun to create together, even though I don't do them live. But I know that I'm talking to people as I'm recording this, and this one's fun. This is from a collection called Shades of Croptoberfest, I think. But I loved kind of this rock paper, and I thought it went great with the safari. And then I was able to use some little puffy zoo stickers that we had. They were in like a promo or whatever, which I haven't really known how to use, but I put them down here where they're not going to be near any photos or anything like that. And here I just feel like I can tell I used a couple more of the puffy stickers with the Maharaja Jungle Trek. I'm 99% sure that this one was from one of the Creative Memories virtual crops. I do love the virtual crops, and have saved all the sketches, and they're a great resource when you kind of are stuck. But I modified it to fit the pictures that I had. I used the Picket Fence Border Maker cartridge, which is the one that comes with the Border Maker system and doesn't get a lot of love. I don't think a lot of people, we don't use it very much, but I love how it worked for this, and even right here where I was able to make it be just a little border on the side of my photos. And this, I think, is What a Zoo 2, or What a Zoo. We had two collections, What a Zoo and What a Zoo 2. This was the bat house, and again, wanted to fit a whole lot of pictures on this page. Found an idea online and was able to recreate it and have these great pictures. If you're not a bat person, I guess I should put a warning in the video that, warning, there's bat pictures ahead. But we're about to turn the page. And then this is in the birdhouse. This is a quote from the Broadway musical. Oh boy, Into the Woods. I probably need to write that down. That's where that comes from. But we had a fun kind of interaction with Katie, showing us how good she is at identifying birds. Basically pointing at them and saying, "Yep, that's a bird. Yep, that one's a bird too. I think that one's a bird too." So that was fun. And I was able to use the songbirds punch, which I'm not a bird person either. I'm not really a nature person at all. But at Disney, I go out into nature. Go me. This one, I love how this turned out. I think this was my own original idea, wanting to fit a whole lot of pictures on one layout. One of the things that I struggle with is I take so many pictures and then I weed them out, and I don't print all of them, but I still print so many that it's really hard not to put them all in. But by cutting them down, I think I cut them to 2 3/4, and the circles make such a difference. And then I was able to use the fun kite Build-A-Punch and this kite paper. And this was a show that was not very long lived at Disney, and I'm glad that we have some evidence of being able to having been able to see it. And then we did do some of the carnival games. We didn't know at this time that when Michelle went back to Disney as a cast member in 2024, she was going to be addicted to specifically this basketball game, and we have far too many little stuffed animals that she won. I don't want to think about how much money she spent purchasing those, but I was able to kind of tell a story with, putting a lot of pictures. I love to be able to put a lot of pictures on a page, and I think the purple and white stripe really works well for kind of this carnival theme. Triceratops Spin and Dinoland has been Michelle's favorite ride since she was a little girl, and so this was a fun one to do. And then I finished the layout, and I said, man, I wish I had some dinosaur stickers. And then the next week, I remembered that in my old stash of Mrs. Grossman stickers, I had some of these dinosaur stickers, and so I went back. So there's a couple of times in the series where I finish the layout one week. Hey, thanks for watching. See you next week. But then the next week I say, oh, hey, I had to change something, and this is what it looks like now. So that's what I did with those dinosaur stickers. This is that same Fruity Delights paper that I used for the Florida Welcome Center, and some monkey stickers. And I think what happened is I was looking for the monkey stickers that were, again, old CM in my old stash. I knew I had some monkey stickers, and when I was looking for them is when I found the dinosaurs for the previous page. So this is one where I have each of the pictures tells a different story, and so they each have a little number on here, and then I just did all my journaling together. And then Pandora, I was able to use the beautiful Full of Wonder. This is one of my very favorite collections ever. This is another one where I colored in the sticker letters, and I on purpose kind of made them a little bit watercolory so that they would kind of all go together, and I was able to do my journaling with white pen. I love how this one turned out. I also was able to take the dragonfly punch and modify it to look like the flying banshees or whatever that they I can't remember what they call the things that they fly in Pandora. Here we have Michelle and her fairy wings again. More of the Full of Wonder paper. Full of Wonder retired from Creative Memories before I was quote unquote ready for it to retire. I did not have the opportunity to stock up on as much as I would have liked to, so I hope that we'll see something similar to it in the future. But this one I used the Mosaic Diamond Border Maker cartridge and filled it in a little stained glass technique. I love how that turned out. And then, so this is day 4, Hollywood Studios, where I was able to use some laser die cuts or die cut papers that had this star on it and this geometric bedazzle that has like some metallic in it. And this is really fun. I think this is a good idea. If you have a single page, like die cut paper, what am I going to do with it? I feel like it worked really well for this one. And of course, being able to use the gold and, you know, anything sparkly or shimmery. I love that. This was our first lunch. We tend to stay out late at the parks and then sleep in and show up about lunchtime. So that was our first stop. When I first did this layout, I could not find this sticker. You know, Katie and Michelle, we earned this Clean Plate Club sticker. So I left a space for it. It ended up being a little bit bigger than I thought it was going to be, but I still made it work. And then there was some journaling here that, you know, I didn't have room to fit the journaling. So this is another one where I made a pocket for the journaling. You know, so if you want to see how to do that, I can't remember what the name of this was, the name of this layout was, but you can ask me in the comments if you can't find it. But this, you know, all of these, I've done a process video for every single layout that you see, except for the 2 statues that were identical to the other ones. Here we have another couple of single pages. Looking at this right now, I feel like the color difference is not quite as much as I would have liked because it does kind of look like it could be together, but you know, just the 3 photos here. And then this one I had originally intended to be a double page spread, but because it needed to go here, I was able to just, you know, crop it down and realize that, you know, these are actors and I don't need to have lots and lots of pictures of them. But I was able to use the one of our winter paper packs, Polar Lights, which I live in Alabama. So sometimes I don't have the opportunity to use snow paper, but, you know, at Disney, I can always find something that I can, at Disney that will let me use papers that I love that I don't necessarily have pictures for in my real life. So here another one is the statues. I didn't journal anything. These are the statues at the studio, that same layout that I did in the Magic Kingdom with the rickrack around the edges and the stripe across the middle. This is one where I had 1 picture. I thought I had more than 1 picture, but I didn't. And so I just had to do 1 picture. Was able to use this. This was from Sweet Summer, which is the paper I used for the title page of the very first book. And it turned out fun. And then this one, I did use some theme park themed paper for this Mickey and Minnie's Vacation Fun cartoon. And then they have little photo ops when you come out of the movie. And we had a fun time with that. This is the Muppets area. And so I tried to kind of go with the green for Kermit and the pink for Miss Piggy, even though they are not, you know, in any of these pictures. This is one where they had us, you know, do some photo magic where like you hold out your hand and they say, you know, something magically will happen. I was really hoping it was going to be like a little tiny Kermit, but it was still Tinkerbell. And now they're closing this land at Disney World. So I'm glad we have some pictures of what it was, you know, the history of Disney through my scrapbooks. This one, I really like how it turned out. I built kind of this tower to be the Tower of Terror. And then I talked about how Michelle and I, we don't ride it. We didn't actually ride it on this trip at all. Katie would have been perfectly fine to ride it, but we didn't want to. But we love to take pictures in front of it. So, yeah. Just to be noted, Katie is not too chicken. Michelle and I are the ones that are too chicken. All right, here's another one where I was able to use the some of the theme park paper, kind of over the top and fun, but I had these kind of circular things, you know, the plates, and I love this polka dot paper and was able to use, you know, some of the fun things that are in the Disney, the not specific to any theme park collections from Creative Memories. And again, you're seeing there's that border, kind of that wide border around the page, something I don't feel like I have done a lot on previous albums. And maybe it's just something that I'm now doing, you know, in my 2024 scrapbooking life. It's like my new thing is to put a border on the page. Because here you see I've got a border on this page and a border on this page. This is just a fun photo pass, Louisa. And I was able to use some old CM paper and the medallion border punch, which is funny because I used this later in the album and I thought that I hadn't used it in a long time, but apparently I used it twice. It's one of the ones that's a little bit finicky. And then this is some of that same paper that we used for the Grand Avenue. Trying again to use up some of my my old, I think this was called, is this Botanical Burst? It doesn't feel like it should be called Botanical Burst, but some of my old collections, I'm really trying to use them up to, you know, make room for new. But just fun. This might have been a blog or a virtual crop. Another one for Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, I had to use a theme park themed paper, and I think it turned out great. And I think that the red and white polka dots and kind of the loud, obnoxious, be sure to notice we are here because that's where we are right in that picture. It's a mirror and we're in there. But this is one also I think that I got from a sketch online, was kind of the starting inspiration. And it turned out to have a border, even though I didn't put a border on it, just the way the picture configuration came. This one I love. I was able to pull out this old paper from Old CM, and it was one paper that had a circle in the middle with Woody on the side, but I needed it for a double page spread. And so I've used this technique before to take a single circular paper and make it into a double page spread. And I think it turned out really well. Love being able to use paper packs from, you know, 10, 15 years ago. I don't even know. This is from Old CM, and CM's been back for at least 10 years. So this is probably from like 2007, 2008, and I was able to still use it. And I think it still looks fun and works great. And my stickers were still sticky. This one, I think my girls had gone to go ride something else. And while they were in line to ride it, I went and tried to take as much advantage as I could over all my my PhotoPass photos. You know, you pay a flat fee, and then as many pictures as you take, you get to download for free. So I want to get my money's worth. And so I just kind of posed myself. I love how it kind of looks like I have a little crown on my head. This is one of my favorites that I did. It's a technique that is kind of from the Old CM of cutting out pictures. But this is one of the few layouts, I think there's 2, maybe 3 in this whole series, that needed more than one double page, because this Rise of the Resistance, you know, this had just opened right before COVID. So I think this is only our second time to get to write it. But what I did was I did a cutout page, and I love. So this page does have a page protector on it because it needs to have the, you know, to hold this together. So I was able to do Rise of the Resistance across both pages. And since I was doing that anyway, there are cutouts here and here. And I absolutely love how that turned out. Rise of the Resistance. So this way I was able to get lots and lots of pictures, but it feels like still just one cohesive layout with Rise of the Resistance. So one of my favorites of this whole book is this 4-page Rise of the Resistance. And this is one that I did not use sticker letters because I needed them very big. I did end up cutting these on my silhouette, even though I hadn't wanted to. I tried a couple of different things, and in the end, I had no choice but to go back with my silhouette. And then our last page, oops, my page protector slid off. Our last page, again, I used the Full of Wonder paper that I love so much. The colors matched so nicely with Michelle's little fairy wings. So we ended up doing this picture every night. We did it at Epcot, Animal Kingdom Studios, and then in the next book, spoilers, we're going to have pictures of these with her at the Magic Kingdom. All right, so that is volume 2. And volume 3 of all the albums is the skinniest. I haven't counted the pages, but I think it's less than 30. I mean, I could maybe count them real quick. I don't know. It's less than 30. I could count them later if anybody cares. And so really, truly, I probably could reposition my albums so that I didn't have one that was this tiny, but I couldn't figure out the best way to split it because some of my pages, my just they ended with a single page, and but sometimes like where I would split between Animal Kingdom and Epcot was a double page and a double page. So I just couldn't do it, and I'd already purchased the albums and I'd already ordered the custom spines. So this one is just going to be skinnier. This is a single day at the Magic Kingdom. But because of that, I did let myself kind of spread out a little bit and not try and fit as many pictures on a page. The title page, I went back to this Sweet Summer, which is the same paper pack that I used on the first title page, just trying to kind of tie them together. And again, are kind of the same with the squares, but different. I mean, the title pages all look different for these. And again, the colored in sticker letters and a frame around my page. This one I love. I actually ended up using this layout as an inspiration layout. I did a Jumpstart January challenge, and after I created this layout, I liked it so much that we used it for Jumpstart January. One of my favorites. I don't do a lot on white pages anymore. This is actually, this isn't directly on the page. I put it on a paper and then stuck it down because I didn't know that that's what I was going to do. But I was able to use a bunch again of that theme park themed paper and the birthday balloon punch. I love how this turned out, and it did remind me that I really do like kind of the piece of white pages. I also did some pen work, which I've done some pen work. I can't even remember if I've done any in this book, but after I did it here, I think I found myself doing it more often throughout the rest of this book. So you can kind of see my style evolving over the year and a half that it took me to do these layouts 1 week at a time. It doesn't usually take me a year and a half to do one album. I mean, I can do several layouts in a weekend, but when I was doing them for this album flip through or for this video series, I spaced it out so that I just did one a week. Once in a while, I would, record a couple because if I was going to be out of town or something, I would pre-record it. But pretty much in general over the year, I did do these 1 week at a time for the video series. I didn't like stack them, sit down and do 20 in one weekend and then, take the rest the next month off or something. Although that, does have a little bit of appeal. This is another layout that I had put in my Jumpstart January challenge. Modified it, of course, a lot. Another one that I'm not 100% sure that I love. There are a couple little things that in retrospect have kind of annoyed me, but overall I like it. And this is that same kind of circle and rectangle technique that I feel like I used maybe a little bit too much in this book. But I was able to use this old called Imagine That. This was the Creative Memories theme park collection several years ago when they decided that maybe they didn't want to use red, yellow, and black all the time. So they did blue, yellow, and black, and people basically hated it. But it matched Mickey's little 50th anniversary costume that he got, his new birthday outfit. This is one where I was using up some of my scraps from Sweet Summer. I just kind of had these random pictures. I did more pen work around the edges, and I love this one. This is one that I had no idea what I was going to do. I didn't get this from Pinterest. It's my own idea, but I just had fun with it. I was able to pull this out of the This Life. I think it was the Artsy add-on. Use my camera punch, use some of the die cuts, and I think it's just a fun, kind of whimsical, very appropriate for Disney themed layout. This one again, we used Birthday Bonanza for Disney food. I did not do the pen work around the edge. Looking at it now, I think it wouldn't be bad to do it. But again, I'm not cut up, so I can't go back and redo any layouts. But just pictures we had of the food, and the pink shirts we were wearing worked so well with these bright colors from Birthday Bonanza, one of my favorite collections. I love kind of this 4 square layout which happens a lot. And I had originally kind of started it to space these out and have a space in the middle. But then as I was working on the layout, changed it, and it completely changed the look of the layout. I got lots of comments on this particular video that, how the photos are in the same configuration, vertical, horizontal, as I started with, but the end layout looks so different. So I love how this one turned out. And this one, to be able to use the wide open spaces, my daughter playing at the now closed Frontierland Shooting Gallery, to be able to use this sticker is perfect for my daughter. Life is tough, my darling, but so are you. So this one was the Festival of Fantasy Parade. This was one of the main reasons we scheduled our trip the way we did. Festival of Fantasy had shut down for COVID, and this was March of 2022, and this particular Friday was the first day that the Festival of Fantasy Parade came back. And so we planned our trip. I did a layout here about Festival of Fantasy. We arrived just as the parade was ending, the first parade. So it says, "Welcome back, Festival of Fantasy." But then we went and sat and watched the whole thing. And I had so many pictures, I couldn't fit it on one single layout. And then I thought, I can't fit this on 2 layouts. This is going to take 3 layouts. Do I really want to do 3 layouts of Festival of Fantasy? So instead, what I did is a fold out pages where I took some of the lyrics to the song that they play in Festival of Fantasy, and I just hand wrote all through, and I was able to include so many of the fun pictures from Festival of Fantasy, which is, our main goal, to be able to go see. I mean, look at that smile on her face that we were able to go see Festival of Fantasy. We were so happy. I don't know where Katie was, but we got to see Festival of Fantasy, and I think she was there with us. I think she just didn't want to, I think she was hiding in the shade. She didn't care that much about being up close. So the Jungle Cruise, this one was fun because my friend's daughter was working on the Jungle Cruise, and so we stopped to see her. This is again that What is Zoo 2 paper. I think I combined papers from a couple different collections for this one. And yeah, those of you who watch my Theme Park Thursday series, we're starting to get to the ones that were fairly recent. I mean, these are layouts that I've done in 2025, so they're feeling very recent to me, and hopefully they're starting to look familiar to you too. This actually is a layout that I don't love. I love the concept still. I really wanted to use this castle border from the Enchanted Princess collection, the Once Upon a Time, the castle itself, the castle paper. I wanted to put a bunch of pictures on it. Might be the title that I don't love, but my goal with this was to kind of cut my circles so they would, or my squares and round the corners so they would kind of coordinate with the bricks. And I don't know, but as I look at this layout, this is probably my least favorite layout in the album, and I'm not sure why. I think maybe because it doesn't have, I don't know, it just seems very plain to me, and I think I needed a fancier Cricut font or something, but nope, I stuck with my stickers, my colored in stickers. This one I ended up really loving, where I took this kind of ombre paper and cut it so we could spread it out and leave a little bit of a gap. I would have done some things differently, I think, with the layout if I had cut the, I can't remember if I cut the pictures first or however I did it, but things I might have done a little bit differently, but I had to fit the pictures, the pictures have to be the priority. And so even though I really liked here where they kind of fit within the little stripes, I had to cross the lines because I wanted the photos were my priority. And then another one where I used a picture as a title instead of putting a title, which I struggle a little bit with, and no other embellishments on this page besides the paper because there's so much going on. This is another one where I pulled out the daily docket, which was old paper. I mean, early days of new CM, probably 2015, 16. I don't know how old it is. But I did that same chevron technique that I had done farther back with the Epcot page. It looks totally different. I think it works great. Use the barbed wire. One of those border punches that, like, in my real life, I'm not really going to have much of an opportunity to use, but I was able to use kind of this old random paper that was not made for Disney or for theme parks. But I mean, most of the papers that I've used in this album, this set of albums, are not theme park papers. So don't let the name of a collection stop you from using it on whatever you want to use it on. There are no rules. This is scrapbooking. This is one that I love, using the diamond shape from the custom cutting system. Not a shape I use a lot. I use a lot of the circles. Very occasionally I use the ovals. Almost never do I use any of the others. but I want to. And so maybe in the next, in series 2, I need to make that my goal to use more of these different shapes. But I was able to fit so many pictures of the castle fireworks on this page because I used the diamonds. And this was my first time to use the die cut ABCs that Creative Memories had just started selling. I originally started without putting a title. I tried to put it just up here and just said Enchantment Fireworks. Couldn't do it, had to go back and add the letters, but I think it added a lot. After the fireworks, we went and rode Winnie the Pooh. Again, you're seeing that kind of border around the page. I did do some pen work, but had fun with this. This was a Valentine's collection, actually, called Be Mine, that works great for Winnie the Pooh, but also from clear back in like 2016. This one is actually a brand new collection called Epic Adventures that Creative Memories had just come out with when I did this layout. But it had this pirate stuff, which was exactly what I needed for our pictures from Pirates of the Caribbean. I already did Pirates of the Caribbean once, but we wrote it again, and you get a ride photo. So of course I had to scrapbook it, and we were outside by the sign. And then we're getting to the end of our trip. The fireworks are over, the parade's over, end of our trip. Our last treats before we hit the road. I used that medallion frame punch again. It's so delicate. I'm always so worried when I use it that something's gonna jam, it's gonna get bent, and won't ever work again. But I love how this one turned out. Usually I do night pictures on a dark background, but this one I use kind of this white bokeh background, and I love it. There's a little bit of sparkly faux glitter in this. It's printed paper that has a kind of a glitter design, and a border. Love how it turned out. Yeah, just a couple weeks ago, just one more ride, but we ended up doing 3 rides. And this is one where I didn't do sticker letters. And this is one of the few where I did a handwritten title. And I'm still kind of struggling with it, and I don't know why, because the goal is to tell the story of my layout, right? I don't hate my handwriting. It's none of those things, but to me, it just doesn't necessarily flow. But this was going to take a lot of sticker letters, and I didn't know if it would fit. So I hand wrote it. It's okay. It's okay. Is this one that I will go back and redo? When I'm in the nursing home and I'm all cut up, maybe I may. Maybe by then there'll be some little electronic cutter that's fast, and I don't have to pull out my laptop to make it work. And then this is a brand new Magical Moments collection that just came out like a couple months ago. So a lot of what I used early on, I was trying to use up my old stuff, but now I've kind of gotten sucked into using, I guess the Big Thunder Mountain and Winnie the Pooh. This one is old stuff. Be Mine is old stuff. So I guess it's okay that I used, new stuff, medium stuff, super new stuff. But I did pull out my corner rounder. That's old stuff, right? And then this one, completely 100% scrap lifted design from Megan Jacks, but I adore it. Used my oval. I think this is the first time I used the oval in this book series. But used that same Magical Moments paper pack, and I just think it's perfect. I probably one of my favorite layouts in this book. And we're just getting right to the end. So if you've been watching, you've just barely seen these. The Good Things Ahead with Michelle and her fairy wings. And then our last, till we meet again, last layout. Some of this, it's interesting because when I was putting this layout together, I forgot that it was going to be on a facing page to this layout where I used this star kind of ombre paper. But now looking at them side by side, the fact that I have the same blue shimmer as here, the fact that I use the same ombre paper, I think ties these two together very, very well. And I'm really, really glad I did it. And then the final page is no pictures of us, some screenshots of our text messages, and a screenshot of a newspaper article, and some journaling about some flight delays. So that one is episode 86 are these 2 layouts of Theme Park Thursday. I did them together because I didn't feel like I wanted my last Theme Park Thursday to be about a layout with no pictures. This is a picture. It's just printed from the internet. It's nobody we know. So that is the end of our 3-volume Disney Girls 2022. Great spring break trip. I did double put my my spines. I put the printed spines over the regular spines, and maybe I made it too tight. But I used the Enchanted Princess albums. I did save 3 of them. I'm glad that I saved 3. I wish that I could scrapbook a little more frugally and, fit one Disney trip into one album. But one of the reasons I became a Creative Memories advisor is so that I can scrapbook all the pictures. I love the process. I love putting them all in there together. Someday when my daughters inherit these books, they may try to consolidate them. But for me, it worked great to have it be in 3 volumes, even though this one's super skinny. So thanks to everybody who was with me on the whole journey. I know there are many of you who started with me at episode 0, went through all through episode 86, and some of you who've discovered my channel since then. I know a couple people that have gone back and watched all of them. Here is the finished project, all 3 volumes of the Disney Girls Trip. I loved making it. I loved making it with you here on this channel, doing it kind of together and having your feedback every week as I have shared my layout. So thanks so much for that, for coming along on this journey with me. And I look forward to starting it all again when we start series 2 of Theme Park Thursday, which is our trip to California for Disneyland and Disney's California Adventure. I hope that these layouts have inspired you, and if there are any that you really want the directions for, every single one of them is a process video here on my channel. And if you can't find it, I'm happy to help you find it. Just reach out to me through the comments here on YouTube, or you can message me through my Facebook page, Nicole's Scrapbooks, or at my website, nicolesscrapbooks.com. Thank you so much for watching and for letting me share my album with you, and happy scrapbooking.